Well, we're live yet? Because I just saw the countdown again.
Yes, we're fine this time, David. We're fine this time.
Right. Well, guys, wow. Cliffhanger after cliffhanger after cliffhanger, eh? We're here. But I don't know how we're here, but we're here.
Aye, and the clock's fine now. We're through. We're moving. We're in.
Yeah.
What technical difficulties today, folks. Thanks to Amazon Web Co. gone tits up.
Yeah.
I didn't seem to have a problem this morning, David, but it seemed to catch up with me this afternoon.
It's crazy. It really is. I used a word that I've never used before, and it looked strange on the page, was haphazard.
I loved Angie's remark this morning when she was talking about so much for security. Yeah, and they want us all to carry brick cards, do they?
Right.
I wonder whose server that would be on.
Yeah.
Right. Give him a few minutes to get and have a look, see who's in. Rosie McGregor, Desiree Brinkert, Alex Adam, Steve Charlton, Stevie Bankier, Stephen Lee. Rosie, last break.
Can you all answer with a simple yes or a why? Just why for yes, if you can see is okay.
David, I know they can, they're talking to us.
No, all right. Don't forget, it's a two-way conversation, right? So.
Anyway. It was a struggle to get here today.
Yes.
This afternoon, anyway. So, where was I? Right, we're up to 68.
There we are. Getting the wise up. Thanks, Ninja. Thank you. Wake up, smell the rosemary's here. Thank you. Ashbury Stumble. Thank you. Janet.
You were finished answering the question.
Lorna, Margaret Mackay, Steve John. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
So it's all right. Let's go on with this because we're eating into our time here. Michael Shanks was in the rags this morning to tell us that Sir Kid Starver, genocide in Naval, didn't promise 1,000 jobs for Aberdeen with GB Energy.
Well, that's strange, that, isn't it? Maybe it was somebody else posing as Keir Starmer that came up to Glasgow before the election and said he was going to create 1,000 jobs at the GB Energy. Well, there you go.
He actually called.
Was it maybe another doubler that was the boss of GB Energy? And he said we couldn't, the 1,000 jobs wasn't on because all he could do is do it over 20 years and maybe create 25, 35 jobs, something like that.
I did have two videos to play, a clip of him saying it, and the other one was the boss of GB Energy earlier this year.
Yeah.
When the other thing Shanks was asked was how many jobs has been created at GB Energy. Shanks being Ed Miliband's undersecretary, you think he'd know the answer to that, wouldn't you? Well, he didn't. The answer's 14. 13 in Aberdeen and one in Manchester. Yeah. And that's because the CEO of GB Energy doesn't want to live in fucking Aberdeen.
What's up with Aberdeen?
It gets a wee bit chilly.
The wonderful lights of old Aberdeen, sweet home, sweet home. Love Aberdeen. I really do. I like it.
Yeah, I like Aberdeen and all. Yeah. Anyway, the day before, his good boss, his good friend, Ed Miliband, this is Michael Shanks' boss, Ed Miliband, was on the Cape, what's her name again? No, the Laura Koonsberg, it was on the Laura Koonsberg show. And he was telling all the half-wits that he was going to create 400,000 new jobs in renewables over the next 5 years.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Aye. Isn't it? Well, we tell them now how many people work in renewables.
Is that like the 1.5 million houses that's going to be built?
That fairy tale, but I'll tell you how many people actually work in the sector. That's what we call matured.
And what sort of period we're on about? How long is this going to take?
In the next 5 years.
Oh, we're talking about after the election where Labour are going to be removed.
Aye. Aye.
Do you know something? The amount of times I've heard this of Labour. Oh, we're going to do such and such. When's that going to happen? Oh, it'll be 5 years.
Well, as I say,
Yeah.
the period of 5 years, out of the term of this Parliament, apparently. Now, folks, there is a big problem with that. During the construction of an onshore a site, it doesn't take long. An offshore site takes a bit longer.
Yeah.
And it's more labour intense. For example, folks, you maybe only have a team of 30 people working on a 10 to 30 wind turbine wind farm construction site. There's a ground crew to dig the holes. There's the steel riggers, and then there's a concrete pump and the mixer drivers. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole team. And it's done consecutively. The digger will prepare the hole. The riggers will stick in the steel. The pump will pump the concrete for the mixers into the footing. And then that's it until the footing's set.
What about the wires at the top end? You need a sparky to actually connect that up, don't you?
That all comes after the construction stage, or that comes later the construction stage when you start the tower up and the stuff and tap it, right? But let's have a look at base sectors. Offshore wind matured in sites where the construction's finished. They hire around the UK full-time 7,200 people. And the percentage, the biggest part of that is the boat crew.
Yeah.
To get them out to the turbines onshore. And we've got a lot, and folks, remember, especially here in Scotland, we have got an awful lot of completed wind turbine energy stations. We've got hundreds of them dotted all over the place. Total amount of people working in full time in the wind energy sector when it comes to producing the energy, 4,400.
I mean, to be honest with you, you look at some of these wind farms and you're talking like 30, 40 wind generators. All you need to do is create a centre somewhere in that area. They can cover several wind farms from that one area, that one building.
What they generate today, David, is where the connector is where the main workforce would be, and that's only about half a dozen.
Yeah.
Right. But up on the actual wind farm, up there's a wee botty with a control room with six operators for starting and shutting them.
But you've got to have somebody somewhere acting as proper maintenance for these machines, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, there's one person again.
One engineer and six in the control room.
Yeah.
Now that happens to be the big wind farm in East Lothian that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time working on it, a lot of time up at it.
The biggest one I understand is in the Shetland Islands. It's run by Viking Energy. It's the biggest.
Is that offshore, but is it not?
Sorry?
Is that offshore?
That's not, it's onshore.
Onshore.
Yeah. And these people up in Shetland, they pay the highest amount of electricity bill that there is, and yet they've got that massive wind farm there. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It really is. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Let's get back to the point. He's offered 400,000 jobs over the next 5 years or so, right? And he's saying they're going to be long-term, reliable, well-skilled, well-trained jobs. No, they're not. They're not.
I think Miliband's met up with God.
Let's have a look at what he was talking about, David. Right, the three sectors he was talking about was solar, wind, and nuclear.
Well, okay. I see people with loads of these solar panels up on the roof, right? And each time I talk to them about such a thing, I've got one guy still on the road for us. He's effectively he says very little about it, which tells me it's maybe not working or it's not being as generous as he thought.
It depends on the setup. The setup my elder brother's got makes his house cost neutral.
Yeah.
Because of what he feeds into the grid during the summer, what he gets back, what he uses out the grid in the winter, right?
Yeah.
But let's go through the sectors. Solar, once the panels are up, they're up for 20 years.
Yeah.
Even if we're talking about a solar farm, a big array, you're only talking 3 or 4 people to keep an eye on the array.
Yeah, exactly. Wash them down. That's it.
Right? Yeah. And of course, the main solar into the grid is coming from people's houses.
Yeah.
Once it's installed, it's installed.
Mm.
You know, so there's no a long term in that once everybody's house is covered.
Yeah, I suppose really when you think about it, it's like any
maintenance and replacement after that, David.
It's like any electrical generation system. You know, you got a power station. I mean, and the hydro setup at Inverness.
Trying to get a multiplier to get it up 400,000 figure, right?
Yeah, you can do it.
You're going to do it. Right, so let's move on to wind. We've already established that full time around the UK, we've only got 12,000 people working full time in wind production, wind fuel production. There's a bit more in the supply chain, maybe delivering the oil and bits and bobs, you know, but nowhere near as much as what they're trying to tell us. And then, of course, nuclear, huge amount of people in the construction, David, and up to 10,000, depending on the size of the site.
Yeah.
But once it's built, how many nuclear engineers are you going to have on site? 500?
Yeah, well,
On a 24-hour shift pattern?
apart from the fact we don't want nuclear anymore in this country.
No, but there you go. Once you're by the construction stage, there isn't a long-term future in any of these industries except for a couple of maintenance spend.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you're right. You'd be right there. Yes.
Now, what Ed Miliband also claimed was there was 200,000 people working in renewables at the moment. Folks, I'm going to tell you how to get to that number. I was telling David, it surprised him a wee bit. See all the people in OVO Energy and things like that who claim to be selling you exclusively renewable energy because they're the third party provider. Well, guess what? They're all being counted. All the call centre workers have been counted.
I know.
So apparently we're
going. No, I think honestly, Miliband at some point has met up with Gov, and Gov said, I've got this cracking thing. You put up your nose and it's wonderful. You feel great after you've done it, you know. So that's basically it, you know.
But no, folks, that's where they get that 200,000 figure fee. All the people in call centres who are allegedly selling you 100% green energy in your house. Apparently, all the call centre operatives work in the green energy sector.
Yeah.
You see where the bollocks is coming through with this whole carry on with Miliband and Shanks.
Yeah.
I mean, the Aberdeen headquarters, it's just for giving out government incentives to build a infrastructure. In this case, wind energy infrastructure.
I think we've made the statement well enough in the fact of do not trust Labour. Anyway. Do not listen to Labour and definitely don't vote for them.
Right. Conference season's just come to an end, David.
Hey.
There was a Scottish Green Conference.
Goes out, eh?
And it wasn't a bad conference. I did have tabs and all that open before with these problems, but I don't want to risk it in case the stream breaks down.
Don't you touch anything. Don't you touch a thing.
Anyway, at the Green Conference, Ross Greer, of course, and Gillian Mackay, his co-leader, gave their keynote speeches. Now, Ross talked about wealth taxes, bringing back hope to politics, and doing away with the council tax. Gillian talked about free bus travel for everybody and how politicians had let her hometown down. And they both had a go at the UK government over their stance on Israel.
I think I'll talk to you, Ross, about saying, forget binning council tax, as we just bin the whole councils.
No, don't start on that one again. Anyway, so they had quite a buoyant conference, and they're going down the same line as Zach Polanski doing there. Wealth taxes and bringing hope back to politics.
Yeah.
So,
excellent.
Inspirational. And of course, the size of the Green Party is growing both sides of the border. You know?
Well, we know that there definitely are different sections of the Green Party, or the different environments, different, if you like, parties, right?
Aye,
The party that sits at Westminster is not the same as the party that sits here
that's right.
in Scotland. Whereas you look at Labour in Westminster is exactly the same Labour as you've got sitting in Scotland.
Yep.
Was that?
Anyway, so tax, council tax, replace it with they want to replace it with property tax. And the free bus travel for everybody. Well, as you said, David, the next thing you've got to say is, well, what about trains?
Yeah, trains is going to be the next one.
What about
Trains are useful if you to create a free train transport.
Now, Gillian Mackay's speech, especially when she was talking about Grangemouth, was particularly a swipe at Anna Sarwar and the Labour Party.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yes.
You know, when I'm letting and everybody's supporting the frog rebellion in America.
Yeah.
But see, as for the bus travel thing, it doesn't go far enough. If we're going to go and make public transport free, we need to cover it all.
Well, something if you imagine as a Green Party, it would definitely go after is public transport. Trying to get as many people out of their own method of transport wherever possible, right?
It's not just that, David. What they were saying was, actually, private company owners made a fortune out of this public transport. The service isn't very good. Let's take it back into public hands, make it free, and we'll improve the services. And we'll generate extra money to do that through this wealth tax they're talking about.
It's common sense. When you think about it, really is common sense.
Now, the interesting thing about the call for the UK government to cut ties with Israel, sanction Israel, was their call for the UK government to round up all of the Jewish people from here who went to Gaza to take part went to Israel to take part in the campaign in Gaza. The Green Party here in Scotland want all the people rounded up and prosecuted for war crimes.
So we're talking about people that have gone to join IDF.
No, people who have been called up.
Yes.
And answered the call.
Yeah.
Like Jon, a Scottish doctor, but they had him there as a spokesman in the early part of the campaign.
There's one bloke we saw as he actually spoke for IDF on TV. He was from the Ayr Road section of Glasgow, near Newton Mearns and all the rest of it, right? He's a colonel. He's a full-blown colonel.
Same guy I'm talking about. I think he's a doctor as well.
Yeah. Is that probably the same guy?
Aye.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on. Also this week, of course, with energy at the centre of all the crap that's going on and what's been spoke about, we have to remind people that at the end of this month, your bills are going up by 2%. Right. Anyway, the BBC did an opinion piece, because we're still in recess technically. The BBC are on an opinion piece, David, on whether the SNP have changed tack and policy on oil and gas. Okay, because Norwegian oil giant Equinor has resubmitted a license to start pumping the Rosebank field.
Yeah.
We remember the licenses there were revoked by the court.
Yeah. If you can imagine any company of that sort would automatically, they'd have people sitting there, the solicitors would sit in there going, right, can we go now? Can we, and we'll do that. So that.
As you know, the licenses were suspended because due diligence hadn't been done, the environmental impact studies hadn't been done properly. So they have been done now to the court's satisfaction. So the UK government can now start licensing. Anyway, the Scottish government was asked for a response on it. And a spokesperson for the Scottish government says, these are decisions made elsewhere. Have you no heard it's reserved? Right? But that wasn't good enough for the BBC. So they went doorstep basically John Swinney, and pressed him on it. And John said, well, it's just part of a long-standing principle. And he wasn't talking about it being reserved. He was talking about the idea that oil and gas is still going to be in the mix for quite a while during what they're calling the just transition in net zero. You know, but it was interesting that the Scottish Government stance on the new fuel was reserved. What the fuck can we do about it?
Yeah.
What's even more interesting is the fact that it is fucking reserved. Why would Scotland's resources be in the hands of a parliament 176 miles from my front door? When there's a parliament only 26 miles from my front door. And the resources belong to the people of Scotland.
Yep, they do. But the people of Scotland need to speak and speak clearly and say, we want those resources to be ours. Until they do, people down in Westminster are in control.
Now, apparently, a guy stays up there on the Ayr Road in the route out of Glasgow. And apparently, he's Lieutenant Colonel Richard Hecht. So there you go.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's like where the Greens are asking for people like him to be taken in and dealt with.
Yes.
In what way?
Prosecuted war crimes.
Yeah, we're going to send them to The Hague.
Yeah.
Yeah. End of story. Yes.
Where were we? Aye. Now, the reason why they're doorstepping is the BBC were suggesting in their opinion piece that the SNP have went backwards on green policy since Nicola Sturgeon announced the climate emergency.
What they are doing is they're just looking for another fucking column inch.
Aye. But
that's all it is. Somebody sat there in the office and their boss has said to them, should you not be out doing something? Well, go and talk to John Swinney, see if he still wants to save the world, right?
No, funny, because while I was out in Africa there, visiting in Malawi and Zambia, he was making a statement to the press saying how the global north have a duty and a moral duty to assist the global south as we drove the Industrial Revolution. We drove global warming, and we're not having to suffer the worst consequences of it as the global south, who didn't drive the climate crisis. So for them to come away with such nonsense when John's just made such a public statement on it, you know, it's just mental.
Yeah.
No, but that's the BBC. It's anything to throw out a doubt in people's mind as we come up with this election that the SNP are bad.
I'll tell you what, we really, really need to get another protest sorted out Pacific Quay. But this time, not Pacific Quay. Done at the steps in Buchanan Street.
Yeah, we'll see. It's definitely going to happen before next summer, that's for sure. I'm not starting the pissing rain.
True.
Right. We'll move on again to the last story we're going to cover in the Scotland specific section. And that is that nonsense in the papers this morning about China being a threat to the UK a grid system because it wants to build a turbine factory in the Inverness and Cromarty Firth green zone, you know, green port, the green port. And now the Chinese company Mingmei, which is the biggest wind turbine company on the planet, they want to set up their European supply chain from Scotland. And they see this green port as being the ideal place to set up because they've got tax incentives and all that to set up there. But it looks like the UK government's about to kibosh that 1.5 million development because it doesn't want China anywhere near our infrastructure. But what we don't understand is what the problem is, because all they want to build in this facility is wind turbine blades and the gears, no the electrics, the gears to service the European supply chain. So, I don't see what the fucking problem is.
No, what this is, yet again, is Labour that's going, oh, Chinese, aren't we fighting a court case against the Chinese? Shouldn't we try and block this because the Chinese want to do this? It's full of spies.
That's it. Well, listen, obviously some news has come out in the last couple of minutes, David, because apparently Kay Adams has got the boot with me. She's been suspended.
Oh, okay. We saw that she'd been taken off there and all the rest of it, right?
For abusing younger members.
I did say something to Kay Adams. Don't fucking watch your ass as the door blooming scalps you on the way out the door, right? Fucking oh dear, what a shame. Never mind.
Tea, coffee, and chalk ices. Aye, Rachel, we're getting to you in a minute, actually. So while you're at it, Davey and I have a couple of coffees and a chalk ice each, please.
That's the way. That's the way.
Anyway, moving on to the wider section. I see Rachel Reeves is in the papers as she's talking about what a disaster Brexit is. Apparently, we're allowed to talk about Brexit again, David.
I know. Do you know something? When I heard Brexit, I went, oh, they said the B word.
Aye, they swore. There'll be right wingers in there throwing their fucking dummies out the pram.
Exactly. Exactly.
Brexit, don't mention Brexit. Anyway, of course, the Labour are trying to use Brexit now as a weapon to beat Farage over the heat.
Yeah, I know it. It's I've got a great name for them, right? And I know it's bastardization on different things we've tried, but from now on, reform is the Hitler Tribute Act. Seriously. And Labour is the Zionist Government Tribute Act. Sorry, David.
I should have muted my mic there. Anyway, Rachel's bashing Nige over the heat because the Bank of England, the governor of the Bank of England's in America in New York, and he's telling the financial institutions of America what a fucking disaster Brexit's been for the UK economy. It's wiped nearly 5%. It's wiped nearly 5%, which was predicted. It's just over 4% of a GDP. It set back living standards by over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fueling inflation and the cost of living crisis. So all of a sudden, the Bank of England's governor, who's been telling us it was going to be a disaster since before it fucking happened.
I mean, look, I'm sorry to say, but anybody that works Treasury direction whatsoever for the UK, they must be angry as hell at the fact that Edinburgh has got the highest GDP per head in the United Kingdom.
Aye.
You know?
Aye. Behind London.
Glasgow's come up close behind. Somewhere is that. Glasgow's bigger than Manchester. Pretty soon it'll be as big as Birmingham. End of story.
No, it's already in front of Birmingham when it comes to GDP.
Yeah, is it?
Aye, it's Edinburgh, London, Glasgow.
Right.
Right. So it would appear that beating Nige early heat and calling them Nige's riots, Nige's boats, Farage's wee boats, Farage's riots, Farage's Brexit disaster. They're hoping by doing that, Labour are going to draw a reform back in the polls.
Is it going to create votes for Labour? I don't think so. Not after what Labour have done for the past year and a bit, right?
Aye, and if what the speculation is right about Rachel's about to do in her budget, it appears that disabled kids and the disabled are about to get a right boot in the hook by hookies.
Don't forget, in amongst all this that we're waiting for, the budget, UK budget, is we're waiting for the Scottish budget, which is supposed to be working off of the UK figures to figure out what's happening, right? At the end of the day, the reason why the UK budget has been held back, it's dead simple. Because Rachel Reeves doesn't have an answer.
And you think you're having a hard time with your systems? We were having a hard time just getting fucking into the studio. And then once we get into the studio, we had a hard time going live. So I was reading on the BBC a website that this Amazon outage has hit over 1,000 companies.
Yes.
And counting.
Yeah.
So it would appear there's some backdoor troubles for you as well, Ange.
Well, I got my wonderful Echo Dots back the day. My beautiful Alexa, so I could tell her, Alexa, scratch my arse. Right.
And she'll tell you no heavens, but I will switch your lights on, you lazy bastard. Must have been hell of inconvenient for you. Martin the Geisler has a face only for the radio. Apparently, he's been taken off television.
Yes.
Empty. There's been a few.
I wonder what's been going on. So that's Kay and Martin Geisler. Martin Geisler, he was suffering with cancer. So when you think, well, there was. Oh
no, he's no way. He's just coming off the telly.
No, it was the other guy. It was. I'm a rhinestone cow. What would they call him again? What's his name?
Can't remember.
We'll get it.
David, I want to get your cognitive abilities checked too. You're getting as bad as Trump. Dear. Anyway, so Labour have decided they're going to use Brexit to batter the Reform Party, but they're not going to do fuck all about Brexit. And their so-called Brexit reset didn't work when they had the so-called 5-year review. And there's a reason why it didn't work, folks. David and I have spent the last 3 years telling you it's just a review. Yeah.
If you shut the door on 27 of your
closest
your market of like, was it 500 million people, something like that, right?
Aye.
And you don't expect any effect of that?
No. You know, when your market's down to servicing the 68 million people within your own fucking borders, you're in trouble.
Yes.
I mean, the EU on one side, they've got Trump's America on the other side, and the only people wanting to trade with are the ones wanting to buy Burberry bags in fucking China, because that's all they're buying.
You be careful. Somebody will put tariffs on you, Mr. McGuinness. Be careful.
I'm no fucking export, nothing. I'm not going anywhere. And you're right, somebody might put tariffs on me. I'll bet you a pound to a penny Rachel does. And I bet you a pound to a penny she does it on the 26th of November. Aye.
Rachel, our accountant, says, I heard someone singing a song and the chorus was, Jeff Bezos is watching you poo.
We watch the spitting image again, Rachel.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Reform UK suspend 4 councillors over leaked video. Have you seen it, David?
No, I haven't seen this at all.
It's about local authority reform down that road in Kent. So the Kent Council members, I think it was their cabinet sort of thing, they were having an online meeting. And at it, council leader Kim Karen was talking to other council leaders, and you want to hear the language, shouting, swearing, telling them she's not a dictator, but when it comes to local authority reform, she'll fucking ram it through. So you just need to suck it up, buttercups. Anyway, one. Sorry for these 4 councillors have been suspended for bringing the party into disrepute because one of these 4 councillors gave the video, recorded it and gave it to the Guardian, didn't they? It's been flying about social media all weekend, and it's been getting played in almost every social media or every one of this type of outlets doing that road in England, you know.
To be honest with you, that sort of maybe interests me a little bit. What would be really interesting is to actually see Starmer blowing his top every 5 minutes in number 10.
Well,
because he must be.
Well, Nigel's got a problem here because in this video, Kent council leader, as I say, Kim Karen, she makes it clear to her a cabinet, if you like, listen, we need to get these reforms right. We need to show that Kent's a showcase. We're the first council that we take the reform to now. We need to prove that we can govern. And problem is, they don't seem to be able to cut their budget or cut their cloth. So, to save money, they're actually talking about having to increase council tax. You're going to have to hear about all that and all. You know, whereas everybody's looking at the reform and they're doge to come and save us all money, apparently, you know, or to save the English money. It would appear it looks like Kent County Council is going to have to put fucking council tax.
Yeah, it's really easy, right? What happens is reform gets elected. Nigel Farage gets put into number 10. He says, right, okay, let's kill all the taxes, shut down the UK Treasury, everything, right? And that's it. It's like, then we get no public services, no NHS, no in England, no social security in England, nothing, right? And it's like, with the last person in the UK, please switch off the lights.
Well, as long as we were still in the UK, the lights would be going off here and all, because everything we get devolves based on spending in England.
Yeah.
Now, I believe Rachel's seen it and all. She said, suck it up or fuck off. Along the lines, Rachel, aye. I watched that a couple of times, but I wasn't having to go to memory. See, I was also going to play that. I did have a tab open for it, but this stream today is just not stable enough for it.
Yeah.
You know. But it did show that governing is difficult, Kirsty. And Reform thought they were just going to waltz in and be able to do what they want. Just pass messages on to civil servants and make them magically make it happen. No, you can. Civil servants can only make it magically happen if you put something in front of them that can actually fucking work. And in this case, trying to cut and make savings in an English council where they've been cutting and making savings through austerity for 15 fucking years, there's nothing left on the bone but bone. There's no meat left to cut.
That's right.
So, if Reform think that they're going to make a success of these councils by saving people money, then they're wrong. So they maybe want to go in a different direction by
No, really, that's just part of the narrative. And the narrative is, oh yeah, we've been saving money, we can do this and do that. Absolutely not the case. Absolutely not the case. But the problem is, when you put up a narrative like that, you end up where you've got to face the public on, no, it didn't work.
And Stevie's telling us it was the same in Thanet District Council when UKIP took that council.
Yeah.
People just don't learn doing that road.
Yeah, okay. And the story is like that.
One of the most important things that this councillor did say in that council meeting was, listen, we have to make this work, because if this doesn't work, Nigel's fucked. Nobody's going to vote for him at the next election.
Nigel's fucked, isn't he?
He'd say that long, David. Last that fucking long. History tells us it doesn't last. Anyway, the councillors who...
The Tribute Act is definitely going down the pan.
Anyway,
Jeff Bezos can watch him.
The four councillors who have been suspended were Paul Thomas, Oliver Bradshaw, Bill Bratt, and Maxime Fothergill. Now, apparently one of they four have brought the party into disrepute by giving this video to The Guardian. It's quite funny, but it was great to get an insight into the chaos that could be taking our number 10 in a few years' time. So
I think it's rather interesting what Hasbury Stumble was put up. Lisa Nandy at the dispatch box with Ian Murray at her side, answering urgent questions about Maccabi Tel Aviv versus Aston Villa.
aye.
It's like, it shouldn't even have to go as far as that. It should just be the local council say, nope, and that's it, end the story.
Yes.
It's not happening, right?
Now, this next story caught my attention because it's being reported that the Ministry of Defence is to investigate if Russia had hacked and stole files on 8 British military installations. At least we know they've got information on 8 of them because they were handed to the Daily Mail. Now you say to yourself, why would they want to do that? But you can just have a look at Google Street and see all the barracks and things like that. But it's the information and what it does in the barracks that's important. Now, apparently, the Daily Mail, the files that they got handed for the Russians, didn't just have the locations in which each of the military operations and the locations did. It also had a full list of personnel.
The list of personnel, that's dangerous.
Well, anyway, it comes to light that this hack came through a third-party contractor, Dodds Group, who's a military contractor, and they had a ransomware attack. And because it was hooked up to the MOD's network, they go through the fucking MOD's networks via a back door and harvested all that information.
Yeah.
With Dodds Group. So, clever stuff. The MOD says that they're investigating it. Do you think it's up there with real importance? Not until it started mentioning personnel files and things like that. Because you just go to Google Street Map and have a look down in any of these fucking facilities.
No, but the personnel files, that's where it becomes dangerous, because you're talking about getting the names and addresses and all the rest of key players within the defence area or the defence site, right? And that means then they can target those. They can target them in a certain way. They could even be blackmail, you know.
Aye. Well, that's what I'm saying. The personnel list is more worrying to me than the actual bricks and mortars and the location.
Yeah.
It's personnel that you can nobble. You can't nobble bricks and mortar. You can blow them up, but you can't fucking nobble them.
That's right.
As you say, you can bribe personnel.
Yeah.
You can blackmail personnel.
Yeah.
You know, you can get them into compromising positions, and you'll have a gun over their head for the rest of their lives.
Exactly right.
Russia's already been prescribed as a terrorist state. Spanner McTavish. Right, this next one's also interesting, David. We're not going to have much long to talk about it, but this one's fucking terrifying, actually. The UK government is to give British military personnel in British military facilities, and a lot of them in the heart of communities, the power to shoot drones down if they fly over the fence.
Well, how do I feel about that? I remember doing the Catterick Army Garrison and seeing the sandbags that go at the back of the guardhouse, where a young person would come in with a gun, and they had 2 bullets. One was actually in the magazine itself, right? And to make sure that the gun was empty, and the final thing that they do was point the gun at this sandbag, pull the trigger, and if it went off, fair enough, right? And
it's not quite as easy as that, because I think it's his ass kicked for no unloading it, probably.
Yeah, exactly. But you're going to allow these basically kids to actually shoot at things in the air, huh? I've
got a bigger worry than that, David. What goes up must come fucking down.
Yes, exactly.
And as you've just said, some of these places are right in the fucking hearts of communities.
Yeah.
They've got houses about them and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, you take a shot at a drone, you miss. That projectile's go somewhere and land somewhere.
We Mrs. McGlumfer could be hanging her clothes out. She'd be hanging her knickers on the line.
She wouldn't hang her knickers on the line. No, they all go in the winter time. Come on. In the dryer, they don't go out. But she could be. Technically speaking, you're correct.
Yeah.
Miss. and it can hit somebody in a back garden when it on its way back down.
Yeah.
And on its way back down, it's still moving at a fair fucking speed of the knots, you know.
Yeah. Well, the drones that they are using now on military drones are not the same as the DJI type drones. Other drones that are available, right? Where we get them as a hobby, right? These drones are quite a bit different, and the ones that were used on the flotilla, dreadful, absolutely dreadful, because these things are killing machines.
I'm not talking about that sort of killer machine drone, but we're talking about sort of thing that you'd put up with a camera on it to keep an eye on things.
Still in all, it could be a military style drone, could cause a lot of problems. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but what I do know is that the detail you can get in these ones, like the one Lyle Duff uses and things like that, are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, and these guys are good at flying them. They fucking fly them with round corners and that, because they don't need to be wearing them. They can see for the camera.
The military style drones are controlled by satellites.
The drones we're talking about them being allowed to shoot down, David, it's all drones.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Any drones that wanders into the airspace above a camp. Now, I don't think this is a very good idea.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to shoot them down, use a slingshot. Simple as that. Because you miss with a bullet and you're firing up away, it will arc, it will travel, and on the way down, it's still coming at terminal velocity.
Yeah.
You know, so the notion that some idiot in the guard room is going to take a pot shot halfway across a barracks.
I used to always wonder about that. When you see the old Wild West type shows where they're going, hey-ha, bang, 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 and the other bullets are going up in the air. I said, what goes up must come down, surely. You know.
Using caps, isn't it? It's the movies. They're using
Yeah.
caps. But that's this. I don't think it's been well thought out, to be honest with you, David.
All right.
I think they're going to have to come up with something better than shooting them. You know, it's just no been.
No, I would have thought that the electronic means was the best way of dealing with it. Simple as that. Because if it's an electronic signal that's controlling the direction and all the rest of it, right, then surely it's not beyond the wit of man to actually work out how to actually take control of them.
No,
Yeah.
no, a commercial one, they should be able to do that, David, to be fair. Now, of course, finally, in the last 10 minutes, we're going to have to talk about Israel and Gaza.
Yeah.
It didn't. It hasn't held. It wasn't going to hold.
Yeah. What ceasefire? What ceasefire? It's not a ceasefire. Netanyahu didn't want a ceasefire. What he wanted to do was replenish his tanks and the bullets and all the IDF's guns. And at the end of the day, that's it. It wasn't a ceasefire. It might as well have been called a pause.
Exactly. And even that, it wasn't a pause. The first day of it, they shot 6 civilians moving about Gaza City.
Yeah, I know.
Into a zone where they weren't allowed. It's their fucking city. They were probably going looking for what's left of their belongings.
Yes.
Or try to find food or something. It just never stopped it, didn't he? Even during the speech, even during the talks in Sharm el-Sheikh next door in Egypt, the Israelis were still bombing the poor bastards.
Well, seemingly now Russia, is it Russia or China, are providing the Iron Dome to Egypt in order that they can actually deal with any F-35s that come from Israel, because there now is a very real threat of the next on the list for Israel is Egypt. And they've been asking Egypt to open up the doors to let the people through from the Rafah crossing into Egypt. And Egypt was saying no.
Well, Egypt's got enough people. you know, sit.
Yeah, David, you know that, I know that, but Israel are just interested in clearing that area.
They're just interested in clearing the strip.
Yeah. But also they may have their eyes on taking over Egypt, a part of Egypt as well. What are you reading?
Just having a look at the Gaza situation, David.
Yeah, yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You get to the point where you go, I really can't more on this that I've said than what I've already said. The people, I can't imagine living in a situation like that. You're living in a situation where, come the end of the day, you could be dead.
Aye. As I say, the only thing that's making me laugh about it is it's making Trump look like a fucking diddy.
Trump was always a diddy, right? The thing is, do you know, I actually had high hopes. I had real high hopes that maybe that's just something that Trump could have done that sorted the job out. What the hell?
No. Trump
Is
thinks,
it?
so
how does Trump come back from this?
I don't know, but everybody thought it was America yanking Israel chain. As it turns out, it's Israel yanking.
Yes, that's right. The opposite way around.
Every time Trump's got angry with Netanyahu and said stop, Netanyahu's just went, get a fucking up here.
So, therefore, if we look at that, can we not say, is it not possible that the UK is exactly the same? Where Israel is yanking the
chain, definitely.
UK's chain, right?
Well,
End of story. And then when you start saying that, everything seems to fall into place.
Well, you know it's true now when you see the Prime Minister intervening in a local security council group's decision that a football team was too dangerous to come into their area, or a football team supporters were too. That's an operational matter. That's got fuck all to do with a Prime Minister.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
it's quite clear that Starmer's being yanked from Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
You know, it is clear that Starmer is also, and his government is wholly owned by the Israelis. And no doubt the Tories would have been wholly owned by them as well.
So you've got a bunch of people here from Scotland, right? But perhaps there's some people from England there and all the rest of it, right? What are you going to do about it? You've got a prime minister and a government effectively that might as well have Israel slapped on it. Never mind the UK, right?
It's quite clear who he represents, and it's definitely not the people of the UK. I mean, his anti-Islamic stand and his bowing to everything that Netanyahu tells him to do.
Yeah.
I mean, how does he think the optics of this play out?
In actual fact, I was, forgive me for this, I was going down the rabbit hole the other day on Saturday. I heard Bernie Saunders' speech where he was talking about AI and all the rest of it, right? And then you put that together with what's been happening in Gaza. Gaza is an experiment. We know fine well that there's always been, if you like, an edict that said you've got to kill off the majority of the population of the planet Earth. Yeah.
Right.
So you're killing off Gaza. Look at that. They got away with that, and they have got away with it. Doesn't matter how you put it, right? And who's next? Who's next?
Who's next?
Aye. What country's next?
Well,
what country's going
to... Jordan.
Jordan, you reckon?
Aye.
In actual fact, let's say it was a Denmark or a Sweden or whatever, right? They'd work out some way of doing it, of wording it, of pushing it. And at the end of the day, it's like you look at England, and that was a bloody big protest that took place with the ultra-right wing
Aye.
in London.
Aye.
You just point them in the wrong direction. You make everybody with a slightly darker complexion, they're the enemy. There you are, son. You kill anybody
Aye.
with a darker complexion.
And the last word will go to Trump, because we're leaving in a minute. It's just to say that no King's protest was back on at the weekend. And it was massive, David.
Aye, I saw the pictures of it. Yeah, I must admit.
It was massive. And he's in trouble.
Oh, and, without doubt, he's in trouble. But the most important thing is we've now got Ukraine and we've got Gaza and what he's done. How does he come back from this?
Oh, I don't know how he comes back from it.
He doesn't. There's no comeback from that.
Well, of course, he's trying to start a civil war within his own fucking borders.
Yes.
So I don't.
And also what we're getting is we're getting videos released of Hamas shooting people within Gaza, right? And to be honest with you,
Could be
as
anybody.
far as I'm concerned, made up.
It could be anybody.
Yeah.
But Hamas. Right. So Trump's regime is doomed if he can ever get to the midterms. That's if he survives that long.
No,
Yeah.
Trump will start a war.
You
Trump
think?
will start a war somewhere, right?
Aye.
Because he has to, like Netanyahu, right? Netanyahu's got to keep that war going to keep him out of prison, right? But Trump does not want an election. So therefore, if he manages to send the troops in somewhere, and the America's on a war footing, no midterms.
Aye, well, there's that as well. That's another way from it here. Aye.
Yeah. Oh, and if you imagine a numpty like me can figure that out, his advisors must be like 20 steps ahead. Where are they?
Aye, Solari, I seen that video you put up about the far right in America training for civil war. It was funny as fuck. Tell you what, that wee fat fella could fair move though. Tom of which I'm going to have to move David. It's 16:59. We'll manage to get this one together.
Guys, seriously, I assure you, this is a broadcast that should not have happened, technically, right? But we got it through by the skin of its teeth, all right?
Hopefully, Amazon Webcore, whatever the fuck they're called, gets their shit sorted out by tomorrow morning. I don't want the same crap tomorrow morning when I'm trying to go.
Okay, all right, yeah. Right. I'm going to start rebuilding a firewall.
Going for my bits and go to work. Use a lot of yourself. Thanks for your kind contributions. Thanks to the moderators for moderating. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for hitting the like button on the way out the door to get us up over 100 likes. It does help the algorithm.
Mind all of this. Time for independence, independence, independence. Keep your eyes on the prize at all times.
And the
All
prize,
right.
the prize is 2026, and apparently we're on course for SMP 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Bye the new.